In section 10, we're going to begin an exploration on a topic called reversing operations. And at first, it's going to seem a little bit strange, but the idea here is that we want a kind of an overarching approach that we can use to solve just about any equation, not just linear equations, but anything. So the idea here is we have variables. Variables just represent numbers. We've done things to those numbers. Our goal is to kind of go backwards and say, well, let's get rid of all those things that we did to the number to get back to what that number actually represents. So as some examples here, we want to just list the steps in which things are done to x for each expression. So in Model 1, we have 4x plus 11. So the closest thing to x that we have is that 4. Following order of operations, we know that if we don't have any exponents or parentheses or anything like that, the first thing we're going to do is multiply some things together. So we have 4 and we have an x. We're multiplying those, 4 times x. And then to that, we're going to add 11. In Model 2, we do have parentheses, so we start on the inside of those parentheses. If we started with x, we divided by 2. And then we subtracted 4. We're working our way out of the parentheses, and now we're going to multiply by 9. And in Model 3, same idea. We're inside the parentheses. We look at the multiplication and division first in there. We've got 5 times x. We're going to add 4 to that. And then we're going to multiply by -2, and then later add 1. So in some of these problems here, it should be very clear, very easy to go forward. But I think when we get involved in the parentheses, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Our goal is to create a list of steps in order to what's being done to x to create our expression. So on number 4, we have this expression here, 15x minus 12. Looking at x, I see no parentheses. I see no exponents anywhere in the problem. So what I want to do first is I want to go ahead and figure out, is there any multiplication? And there is. I'm taking 15 times x. So my first step is to multiply by 15. Once I have that, that's 15x, I'm taking 12 away. So let's subtract 12. That gives us our expression. 15 times x, subtract 12. 5 is similar. It's, again, a very kind of simplistic one, if there's no parentheses involved in it. We have x and then over 4. What that means is we're dividing x by 4. And then we're subtracting 7. Let's get to a more challenging one. Let's look at number 8. I love this one here. So we have -3 times the quantity 4x plus 1. Now we have those parentheses involved. So there's an additional step that we're going to have to do. And I'm going to be color coding these so we can see it a little bit better. We're going to start in the inside of the parentheses. So ignore that -3, ignore the parentheses for now. We're just looking at the 4x plus 1. Similar to what we did here in number 4, that number with the x, that's being multiplied by x. So here we have multiply by 4. And then our next step after that would be to add 1. And then multiply, by that number on the outside, which is -3. Now, we're not going to get in a distribution or anything like that. We're just trying to say, how did we get this expression? And let's look at one more of this type. Then we'll talk about how do we reverse it? So looking at number 11, we start on the inside of the parentheses. I'm looking at my x, right, which is right here. It looks like I'm multiplying by 2. And then after I multiply by 2, I'm going to subtract 7. And once I've done that, I'm going to multiply by 5. Because again, multiplication, once we're outside those parentheses, multiplication and division come before subtraction and addition. And then my last step looks to be to subtract 8. All right, and that's the order we're going to follow. Multiply by 2, subtract 7, multiply by 5. and then subtract 8. In our next activity, we're trying to do the same thing, but now we're going to go backwards. We're going to say, okay, we've got the expression, but you know what? We want to find out what x is equal to. So to do that, we follow what's called reversing operations. And the way to reverse operations is there's really two things we have to do. We have to reverse the order, and we have to reverse the operations that are taking place. Look at this example right here. We had 4x plus 11. To get the expression, we multiply by 4, we add 11. To reverse it, instead of ending with adding 11, we're beginning by subtracting 11. And multiplying by 4, we're not going to do that. We're going to reverse it. We want to divide by 4. And it works the same for this one and this one. For all of them, we're going to reverse the order. So let's take a look at one of the more complicated ones. Let's do one that we haven't done yet, number 12. So for number 12, if we look at x, there's nothing in front of that x other than the parentheses. So if we were trying to create this expression, what we would do first would be to add 5. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to rewrite this and call it create. Once we've done that, we have to multiply by 6. By adding 5, we've taken care of the parentheses. Now we're starting to work our way out. We've got our multiplication. And then our subtraction will come next. So that's how to create the expression, but now we want to know, hey, how are we going to reverse it? Well, we're going to start in our last step, which was subtract 13, and we're going to reverse that. So to reverse subtracting 13 is adding 13. To reverse multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. To reverse adding 5, we subtract 5. That's how you're going to reverse the expression. Let's look at one more just to make sure we've got the hang of this here. All right, yeah, let's do number 10 here. We've got 4 times the quantity x divided by 7 minus 4 plus 3. So again, to create the expression, we look at x. The first thing it looks like we're doing is divide by 5. I'm sorry, 7. I don't know where 5 came from. Next step would be to subtract 4. And then we multiply by 4. So again, once we've done these two steps, the parentheses are done. Multiply by 4. And the last step would be to subtract or add 3. All right, again, that's how we create it. Now we're going to reverse it. So I'm just going to keep this color here. Why not? To reverse, we start with our last step, which was add 3, and we reverse that, subtract 3. To reverse multiplying by 4, we divide by 4. To reverse subtracting 4, we add 4. And to subtract dividing by 7, we multiply by 7. Now in our next lesson, we're going to talk about how do we actually use this to solve equations. When we get there, we're not going to write out step by step. This is how we solve it. We're going to solve the equation following this order. So if we had another number on the other side, so if we had like an equal sign and a 5, I don't know if this number is going to work out nice, but we would follow the steps of subtract 3, then divide by 4, then add 4, and multiply by 7. But again, that's going to be in section 11, so we'll get to that video when we get to it.